you're thinking about selling your home in Massachusetts, there is a ton of pitfalls and shortcomings you can make if you're a first-time home seller, or even if you're an experienced home seller. So we're gonna go over 9 different sections or areas of concern or importance you need to familiarize yourself with, game plan ahead of time so you can maximize your profit, get through and in and out as cleanly as possible, and get on your way to wherever you're going next. So stay tuned. So number 1 is you need to learn what your home is worth and what it's actually worth. And part of this, again, is enlisting and meeting with a realtor. Over 95% of home sales in Massachusetts involve a realtor or real estate agent. If your plan is to maximize profit and to sell your house in the open market, there's a good chance you're gonna be meeting with a realtor. And so make sure you schedule a consultation with them, do your research ahead of time, have them come in, have them give you an accurate assessment of your home, what it could be worth on the market, on a low end, on a high end, a value range, go over the pros and cons of listing low or listing high, and then determine ultimately how much you can actually list your property for. If you're going off of Zillow estimates and other Realtor.com, any of those estimates, they aren't bad, but just make sure you know they have no idea what the inside of your house looks like. They don't know if you did an upgrade to the roof or any upgrades at all. So make sure you chat with a realtor, you go over the updates, you go over the house, you look at the neighborhood comps, you look at the trends in the industry, and then you come up with an accurate number. Because if you list too high, you're gonna be sitting forever, you're gonna be getting negotiated down, and if you list too low, you could be leaving value on the table. And number 2, and I just started talking about this, interview a realtor. And when you interview a realtor, make sure you ask your realtor questions, right? How much do they cost? What's their marketing plan? How much money do they spend marketing your home or working for you, right? What do they suggest for pricing? What do they suggest for negotiating? So make sure you chat with a bunch, find the best one. It should usually become obvious during your interview processes. Section number 3, and one of the most important sections, is know your costs. Know how much expenses come out at the end of the transaction. So if you have a mortgage, you gotta discharge your mortgage, obviously. Subtract that from the purchase price. Your second biggest expense is usually gonna be the real estate agent commissions. Those are usually 4 to 5% total. And typically the seller is paying those, so expect that. The next biggest expense is gonna be tax stamps. In Massachusetts, we have tax stamps, and that is a certain percentage based on the purchase price, right? So typically it's at least a few $1,000s. If you meet with a realtor, again, they can give you the exact number it would be at your list price. Another expense you're gonna have to expect is an attorney. So more often than not, a buyer has their own attorney, you're gonna have to pay for your own attorney. That typically is somewhere near $1,000. So make sure you factor all these things in, right? And it should be one of the things you go over. How much money is coming out from the mortgage? How much is coming out from the real estate agent commission? 4 to 5%. Tax stamps, attorney, small other miscellaneous expenses, tracking fees, deed recording fees, stuff like that. But those are much smaller fees that typically maybe add up to a few $100s. But know these numbers so that you know how much you can walk away with at the end of the day. And section number 4, and we just started talking about this, is hiring your own attorney during a home sale. You might be asking yourself, why do I need to hire an attorney if I'm selling my property and if I have a realtor? And the reason is because the buyer has their own attorney, right? And so when the buyer makes an offer to buy your home, and you go to the second contract in Massachusetts, which is what we call the purchase and sales contract, an attorney who represents a buyer is going to draft a contract that has favorable terms to their buyer, right? That's their client, right? So when you go to look at and review this legal contract, you want someone on your side as well to write in favorable terms that protect you and make sure you're protected on the home sale, so that something doesn't come back and bite you at the end of the day, right? So typically, and again, this isn't a huge expense. It's typically $1,000 total, and that includes them typically preparing the deed for you at the end of the transaction as well. But what it mainly goes to is to writing and tweaking and negotiating a legal contract for you on your behalf so that you know you're protected and that something can't come bite you back down the road. In section 5, and this is going to be if you're planning to sell and buy a new property at the same time, right? You got to know, how do you navigate that? It's something a realtor should do for you, but how you do that is you have contingencies on the home when you sell it, and you have a contingency on a home when you buy it. And those contingencies are called the subject to suitable housing contingency. So when you sell your home, you make it subject to suitable housing. And what that means is that a buyer coming in making an offer has to give you a certain amount of times to find a home, or has to close on the same day that you're purchasing your new property. That way you're not homeless and the buyer can't force a sale when you have nowhere to go. Likewise, when you're buying a property, you make that purchase subject to the sale of your home. And that way, the purchase of your property has to be subject to the sale of your property going through. But you need to have that protection in place in case your financing fails or in case the home sale falls through. And what that does is it protects your deposit, right? So that the seller can't take that, right? So you have these contingencies in place if you're buying and selling at the same time so you can close on the same day, not carry 2 mortgages at once, not be homeless or lose your deposits. Section number 6 is capital gains. We talked about expenses that come out of a home sale in the typical situation, right? How much money you walk away with. But if you have lived in a home for a long time or have made a big profit on a property, you may have to pay capital gains taxes, even though it's your primary residence. And even if you're purchasing a new one, right? You can't just always roll the money into a new one like a 1031. That's on an investment property. On a primary address, your first $250,000 in profit are tax exempt. If you're a single person, if you're a married person or couple, your first $500,000 in profit are tax exempt on the home sale, right? So if you're exceeding that number on either end, you could be, subject to paying capital gains taxes, and just have that noted, because even if you're buying a new property, you might be ending up paying taxes on your home sale come tax time next year. So connect with your accountant if you're preparing to sell your home, and if that might be a possibility for you. Obviously, your accountant can expense a lot of the things that you've spent money on improving your home over the years to try to lower that profit threshold and reduce your tax liability. But just know it, because you don't want tax money biting you in the butt down the road. Number 7, and again, this has to do with interviewing a realtor up front, is have a strong marketing plan, right? And this is me telling you what a strong marketing plan is for a property, right? Number 1, asking your realtor how much money they spend on their marketing plan, exactly detailed what their marketing plan is, right? When we meet with sellers, we go over, here's the different types of marketing things to do, right? Photos, drone photos, virtual staging, maybe actual staging. We do different videos. Sometimes we do reels, sometimes we do horizontal videos, or we do a combination of both, right? And then we pump those out through different channels. We invite different collaborators in different areas. We post them in different town pages, right? And our goal is to always have the most attractive, the most visually appealing marketing, but also we're trying to get as many digital eyeballs on our listings as possible, right? And our goal is to always get somewhere between 10 to 15,000 digital eyeballs on your property, right? Because the more eyeballs that are on your property online, the more showings you have, the more potential offers you have, right? So it streamlines down, it's a funnel just like with anything else. So ask your realtor, what is their exact marketing plan, right? And how do they expect to or track the number of actual views and showings they're getting on your property. Section 8 is what should you spend money on when you're preparing your home to sell, right? And again, if you're consulting with a realtor, they should be advising you on this, right? It does not always make sense to do huge improvements to your property, right? Like redoing a bathroom or a kitchen that you might not get your money back on when you're going to sell your home, right? If we're gonna go spend multiple $1,000s on a project, we wanna get that money back. So oftentimes, when we're going through a property, when you're walking through with your realtor, we're going through what do we actually wanna spend money on? And most of the time it is just decluttering, cleaning, getting things out of the property. If anything's actually broken, we would suggest spending money on that. But most, cosmetic improvements and general improvements, we do not recommend spending money on, right? It doesn't make sense to spend money on something that we're not immediately going to see a return on investment on, right? So the goal of it is to always spend money only what we have to spend money on, and then we adjust from there if needed, if we can't sell the property. And section number 9, right, and this might be a confusing one for a lot of people, it's what do I have to disclose? What should I tell my realtor that's bad or a defect about my property? And the way to navigate this is when a realtor comes over and meets with you, the first thing you guys should do is walk through the property and go over everything. And your realtor, if they're a reliable realtor in the area, they're going to be asking you questions. How old is this heating system? How old is this hot water tank? What's this stain here? Do you know what this is? And the reason they're doing that is because they're looking out for you, right? Because they want to disclose things that they can see. But also you should point out things that any potential buyer might want to know, right? So know how old your things are, how old your roof, your heating system, your panel, if you did a panel upgrade, anything like that, have that handy. If you found any damages or defects to your property that you know of, it's important you tell your realtor so they can tell potential home buyers and nothing comes back to bite you at the end of the day. So that's it, guys. That's all the 9 most important things I think you should consider when you're preparing to sell your home, whether you're a first-time home seller or an experienced home seller. And there's different areas to lose money or trip yourself up on in the future if you don't prepare and do these things. My name is Sam Moore. I'm a local realtor in Massachusetts. We are always happy to consult with home sales here in Southern Massachusetts, so feel free to reach out to me or my team in the contact details below. I will see you guys on the next one.